day 2. So we started talking about what an inequality is and the 2 different types. So, and I mentioned to you about open and closed circles, so that's kind of where we're getting to. Also, how to write the inequality. Okay, so we look at something like this. Using an inequality symbol, name another way to rewrite this. So there's actually two ways to rewrite it. So I could write it as 3 is less than 5. Well, what's another way I could write it, but it still means the same thing? I could then say it as this. 5 is greater than 3. So I'm allowed to flip it around as long as I change my sign. Same thing here. If x is greater than 7, I also could write it as 7 is less than x. 7 is less than or equal to y. Again, I could flip everything around as long as I change the sign. Y is greater than or equal to 7. So keep that in mind. If you're going to flip it around, you have to change the sign. Okay, I tend to like on the left-hand side, the variable. So when I look at problems like this, to me, it makes a lot more sense when the variable's on the left. Again, that's just preference for me. It doesn't mean you have to do it. I just think it's a lot easier. So, so if I was going to write the following in words, obviously make sure you know what these symbols mean. So this, I would say x is greater than 9, or I could say more than. This one would be x is less than -7. And then this is m is greater than, but that, since that line's underneath, we said that means or equal, I should write out the word equal, but you get the idea, equal to 27. So again, make sure you know how to read these appropriately, okay? All right, so we did talk about what the words are and knowing that it is comparing 2 different things. So we talked about what the difference is between these ones and the last 2. So remember that these ones are not, they're not going to be equal to something, that number, whereas these ones are going to be equal to it. So remember that we use the words like less, less than, fewer than. This one was more than or greater. Whereas now we know that this one is less than or fewer than, but also or equal to. Same thing here, more than or equal to, greater than or equal to as well. Okay. Now, I mentioned something about open and closed circles. So for instance, since these are not equal to something, so if I looked at a number line and I said x is less than, I don't know, I'll use 3 again because that apparently was a number I liked, then in this case, this would be an open circle, because if this is 3, this is 4, and this is 2, one lower, one higher, that's kind of how I do it. This circle would be open at 3 because I'm not allowed to include 3. Think about it. Like, I'm allowed to walk all the way up to that number, but I'm not allowed to step on it. So think of that as being like an open manhole, which a manhole is like that thing on the ground where you drive over it, where it's like metal, a manhole where they go underneath the ground. I'm not allowed to step on 3. Okay. Now, I'm not allowed to step on 3, but what numbers would I include? Would I include numbers then? X has to be less than 3. So you ask yourself, this is the strategy that we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and ask myself, is 2 less than 3? Or should I go with 4 less than 3? Which one's going to work? Obviously, I'm going to go in this direction. So my arrow will go towards the negative, or towards numbers that are less than, but not equal to. Okay? So you just test one lower, one higher, and see which way you're supposed to go. Same thing here. If I had x is greater than 3, same thing. Here's 3, 2, and 4. Still an open circle because it is not equal to, so open. Again, test it. If I plug in 2, is 2 greater than 3? It's not going to work. So then I need to show my arrow going in this direction. Okay? So that's how you do that. Now, the only difference here is that these are going to be closed circles. Why? Because I'm allowed to step on number 3 or number whatever. So if I was to think about it this way, same concept, x is less than or equal to 7, okay? If this is 7, 1 less is 6, 1 greater is 8, it would be a closed circle at that point, and then I'm going to plug it in. Is 6 less than or equal to 7? It is, so I would go this direction. 8 is not less than or equal to 7. So I'm reading it the way that it's written, so I'm not going in this direction. Okay, same idea here. Let's think, what if I had a negative? So you got to remember your negatives here. Okay, here's -1. This would be -2. This would be 0, right? So if I asked you to pick any number that is greater than or equal to -1, first of all, it's equal to, so it better be a closed circle. And whatever I plug in for x on this side, gotta work. So if I plug in -2, is -2 greater than or equal to -1? It ain't, it's colder, right? Think about temperature. So therefore, I would go in the other direction. This is not working. This direction works. 0 is greater than -1. So what's the difference? Not if it doesn't have a bar underneath, open. Not allowed to include that number. But if it has the bar underneath, closed, because it doesn't allow it to equal that number. Okay. So let's practice on writing them. Now, I want you to be careful about a couple of things that I'm going to mention. I'm going to add just one extra thing to the previous chart. So, first one, now let's practice writing them. So it says you must be over 12 years old to ride the go-karts. Okay, so when you think about that, the key word here is you gotta be over 12 years old, okay? So you ask yourself, am I allowed to be 12? Am I allowed to be 1 less? And am I allowed to be 1 more? So this is how I kind of determine it. Obviously, we're using A for age, so you just pick our variable, so we use A. But ask yourself, over 12 years old, is 11, so I'm plugging it in, is 11 over 12? No, so it can't be 11. So far it has to be greater than, right? Here's the key determination. Are you allowed to be 12 and ride the ride, or ride the go-karts? You have to be over 12 years old. Is 12 over 12? No, they're equal. So are you allowed to be over 12? Are you allowed to be 12 and ride it? No, because you're not over 12. So you have to be 13, but not equal to 12. So the biggest thing you have to ask yourself, read it, am I allowed to be 12? No, okay. So that's why it's not an equal to. And I need to pick any ages then bigger than that. So A has to be bigger. So whatever I plug in here has to be bigger, but not equal to 12. I can be 52 and ride the go-kart, but I can't be 11 and I can't be 12. Okay, so think about it that way. Okay, these are the ones that trick up the kids all the time. So please listen to me on this one. You must be, very important, at least 16 years old to drive a car. Okay, at least is the key word. If your parents say you have to have at least an A or a B for me to be happy with your grades, at least. Can you have a C? No. You have to have at least a B, which means a B or higher. You're safe at a B, you're safe at an A, but you're not safe at a C. So I always say to the kids, think about at least, think about your grades. Think about that, okay? So in words, what does that mean? Keyword here is at least. You have to be at least 16 years old to drive. Let's use, I don't know, Y for your age, okay? So your age compared to 16. So this is how I do it, very simple. Look at 16, go 1 lower, go 1 higher. is 15 at least 16? Can you drive at 15 years old? The answer to that is no, you can't. You have to be at least 16 years old. Is 16 at least 16? Yes, it is, because I'm at least 16 or more. So that's why it is, I have to be 16 or older than 16. So think about your grades. Think of this as a B. This is a C grade and this is an A grade. Right that way. You have to have at least a B. So is 15 C? Is a C grade at least a B? No, it's not. Is B at least a B? Yes, it is. Is A at least a B? Yes, it is. So think about it that way, maybe for grades. For some reason, the grades like make more sense. I don't know why, but I get it. I mean, I get why it makes sense. So again, there are less than 10 people in line. So keyword here is less than 10. So let's use P for people. Okay. So let's use P and 10. And then I just got to figure out if can I have 10, 11, or 9. So one lower and one higher. So let's start with 9. Is 9 less than 10? Yes. So right now I know it's less. Just got to figure out if it's equal to, okay? Is 10 less than 10? No. So it's not equal to. Is 11 less than 10? No. I already knew that. So the reason why this one's not equal to, so that's why it's just less. Okay? About that way. Okay, now again, be careful you're reading the whole thing. Practice will be no more than 35 minutes. No more than. So no more than. That's like the limit, the maximum it could be. No more than 35. So let's just say P is for practice. So practice 35. So let's see. Can practice be 34 minutes? Can practice be 35 minutes? Or can practice be 36? So no more than 35. So it's 34, no more than 35. Is that going to work? Yes. 34 is not more than 35. So we're good. Is 35 not more than 35? Am I going over 35? No more than 35? No, 35 is still good. I'm safe at 35 minutes. I'm not safe at 36. Why? Because 36 is more than 35. So this is not working. So therefore, it is equal to, so I better have this. So we max out at 35. I'm allowed to have 35 minutes, but I can't have over that. I'm allowed to have 35 or less. So again, this is a good strategy. Ask yourself if it is making sense. If you're not sure, think about grades again. Okay, so then I have this page where they practice. So go ahead and pause the video. Make sure you're getting these ones right. So we're going to write an inequality. Just for this one, just use X as your variable. Okay, all right, pause the video so you can get this right. Okay, DVD costs more than 15. So X, let's just say that's the DVD. More than 15. So 14, 15, 16. Is 14 more than 15? No. Is 15 more than 15? No. So it's not equal to. Is 16 more than 15? Yes, it is. So X has to be greater than 15, but not equal to. Next one. Height requirement for the roller coaster is at least 40. So I'm going to show you here in a second what the difference between at least, and then you'll see sometimes this word at most. These are the ones that kids get messed up all the time. What I'm going to tell you is keep about grades. Okay. All right. Height roller coaster is you have to be at least 40 inches. So X is your height. Okay. At least 40. So 39, 40, 41. Is 39 at least 40? It is not. Is 40 at least 40? It is. So it can be equal to, and it also can be greater than. That's how I do it, okay? Dog weighs less than 50 pounds, so think 49, 50, 51. X is the weight. 50. Is 49 less than 50? Yes. Is 50 less than 50? No, so it's not equal to, and obviously it's not there, so it's just less than. Again, I'm just trying to show you how you determine whether it's equal or not. Last thing, here's that other keyword, at most. Jessica will pay at most $40 for a pair of jeans. So let's just say X is basically what she's paying. At most 40. So 40, one lower, one higher. Okay, I think at most is the most she can spend. So think about the most, the least amount, the most amount. Think about it that way. Maybe that will help too. Grade, same thing. Okay, you can use that. I think of at most the max. That's the max it can be. At least is the min. So minimum it could be, maximum it could be. Okay. So basically it says Jessica has $40 to spend. So can Jessica spend $39? She's allowed to spend at most 40. That means no more than 40. Well, she's good at that. Is she good at 40? Yes, because that's all she has. She just can't spend over it. So it has to be less than or equal to that. So if you notice something in relationship between these two, at least is actually greater than or equal to, and at most is actually less than or equal to. So one thing that I would add into the chart is go back to here. Very, very important. This is less than or equal to, so this is at most, which is like the maximum amount it could be, and then at least, and then this is the minimum you're allowed to. I always tell kids, if you're confused, think about your grades. Like you will get a reward if you have at least 5 merits, or you'll get a reward if you have at least 10 check marks for your homework pass. You can't have 9 and get a homework pass, but you can have 10 and get a homework pass or more. So that's what what I wanted to clarify. Those are the two parts that kids get wrong all the time. Do not rush on those. And I think that's pretty much it. Okay. For this part, I'm going to go ahead and here, since the bell rang, apparently it's now switching my classes. I will then just show you how to graph it. It's really not hard. So I will get back to this in a second. I'll pause this. Nope.